Hey, what's going on? Luke here, and we're here to do my tips and predictions for week 1 of the 2022 NRL Final Series. Some absolutely incredible games this week. I feel like, genuinely, looking at all of these games, there's no sort of game I can sit there and say out and out that this team's going to beat this team. Like, in previous years, I feel like we've been able to look at some of the games and you always were like, alright, well, Melbourne Storm's going to win, for example. Like, Storm are going to win and, like, Penrith are going to win and such, but not so much this year. Like, we're going into week 1. The only game that's probably like a little bit of a mismatch in terms of like actual play throughout the season is probably the Storm and the Raiders. And even so, like a matchup for the Melbourne Storm, that's terrible in terms of the Canberra Raiders. Like, the one side that can trouble the Storm over the last couple of years has been the Canberra Raiders. So even in that regard, something that looks like a bit of a mismatch probably isn't going to be a mismatch, especially with how the Storm's been playing, especially with how the Raiders have been playing. But look, we're not going to waste any more time. I'm going to jump into the very first game, which is the Penrith Panthers taking on the Parramatta Eels. So I think this one, it's hard to say like this is going to be like a match of the round or match of the finals, I guess, that sort of stuff, because all of these games are really, really good. But in terms of previous clashes, we can expect this one to be a pretty close one. I can't really see any blowout scores. I can't really see any clear winner, to be honest with you. Even when Parramatta are playing not at their best, they seem to trouble Penrith, and they definitely have in the past. In fact, they beat them twice this year, I'm pretty sure. So Parramatta definitely can get the job done. However, Penrith going into the finals, they've got the experience. This isn't a case of, we're not sure how they're going to go. We know that they're going to be fired up, as a Parramatta, as are all of these sides. But just in terms of Penrith, a lot of them are rested. Nathan Cleary returns into the side. Are they going to be a little bit rusty? Potentially. And Parramatta definitely rise to the occasion against Penrith. So in terms of picking a winner, I'm actually sort of leaning towards Parramatta, if I'm being honest with you. Something feels a little off with Penrith in terms of where they've been over the last couple of years, but I still feel like there's a huge chance they win this one. And I'd say they definitely are the favourites going into this game, but just gut feeling is saying that Parramatta can get the job done here, and which is crazy considering throughout the season I was like, Parramatta are done, no chance. They're playing absolutely awful, especially when they got towed up by the Bulldogs. A couple of these sides actually being towed up by the Bulldogs, or at least beat by the Bulldogs. Parramatta, one of them. But yeah, Penrith, definitely. Like, if Penrith come out and win, not surprised. If Parramatta come out, not surprised. But for Penrith, it's just because they haven't played at full strength for quite a while. Maybe we're sort of, at least me, maybe I'm kind of forgetting how good they actually are. With Parramatta, they've been getting better and better each week, and keep looking at guys like Dylan Brown who are stepping up, and Mitchell Moses stepping up, and even your Guthersons and Reid Marnies, and even the rest of the guys, your Junior Paulos, and your Sean Lanes and that, who have been very, very good. Campbell Gillard, another one. We know that they've been pretty good the last couple of weeks, whereas Penrith kind of been coasting. They wrapped up the minor premiership a long, long time ago. I know they hadn't officially wrapped it up, but you all knew they were going to win the minor premiership. So they haven't really had a reason to be going all out. You know what I mean? Like, there's no reason for them to be going crazy and playing everybody and not resting players. So it's probably easy to sort of get caught up in like recency bias, I guess, even though they did come first. But Parramatta are like the hot side at the moment, whereas Penrith are sort of, they've been winning, but they haven't been absolutely dominating. But I think that's because they've been playing a lot of backups, like a lot of, we've seen a lot of Sean O'Sullivan and Jamin Salmons and all those sort of guys who aren't normally in the side. Even like Coruscant's been out, Dylan Edwards been out. They've had a lot of injuries. So this is probably the first sort of run we've seen with them having a lot of injuries. So coming into the finals, I think they're going to be fairly fresh. And like I said, a lot of players rested, a lot of ins this week. Can easily see, I'm convincing myself that Penrith are going to win this one. I'm actually going to change my mind. I'm going Penrith. Change my mind. Doesn't happen too often on camera. But I'm going to go Penrith to win this one. I think they're going to be just too clinical. I think that's probably the best way to put it. So I'm going to go Penrith 1-12. I think regardless, it's going to be a close game, as you can see by me swapping and changing throughout this video already. So I'm going to go Penrith 1-12, but no confidence. Moving on to the next game, which is the Melbourne Storm taking on the Canberra Raiders. I already touched on this a little bit earlier, but the Melbourne Storm haven't been great. They've sort of linked into the finals, went from being, in my opinion, like arguably the top side up there with Penrith, and they've found themselves in the bottom 8, which is, I think, the first time since 2014. It's just not Melbourne Storm. But they've had a lot of injuries, which kind of explains why they're not the Melbourne Storm, at least the Melbourne Storm of old. But just in terms of how they're playing, one week they look like they can win the comp, the next week they look like they can get beat by the Raiders. And that's why it is kind of scary, because the Raiders definitely can rise to the occasion. They can step up. It's not so much a finals thing, it's more so they just step up against the Storm. Something but their style just doesn't gel well for the Storm. yeah, like I don't really have a particular reason that I can sit here and be like Raiders are going to win this one, other than previous history in terms of them actually going to Melbourne and winning this one. But your smart money says Melbourne are going to go and win this one. I think they're the favourites. They should be the favourites. They're the better team on paper. They're at home. Everything screams that the Melbourne Storm are going to win this one, potentially even win this one well. And then, like I said, in terms of mismatches, this is probably the only one that you look at on paper and be like, Raiders kind of just, they're there, but are they just making up the numbers? I don't really know. Because all the other sides, I can genuinely look at them and be like, very good side, could win the comp on their day. Whereas Raiders, I don't look at them as a side that could win the comp. They're a side that, can do a little bit of damage, maybe cause an upset, but I don't know. I don't think the upset's going to happen this week. As much as I would like to see the Storm be one and done, that'd be quite interesting. Just doesn't happen to the Melbourne Storm, but I don't see it happening. Maybe next week. But I think the Melbourne Storm are going to win this one. It's hard to say 13 pluses in the finals because, you've got all good sides. But I think for this one, I'm going to go 13 plus Melbourne Storm. I think they get going. Their last home game, I'm pretty sure. You got a lot of guys farewelling, your Brandon Smiths and such, Kafusis, your Bromwich boys. I think they'll be in for a good performance. So Storm 13 plus, especially after they've been disappointing the last couple of weeks. I'm expecting them to explode in the finals. I don't know if that's going to happen, but that's kind of just my expectations, just with how Craig Bellamy is and how the Storm are in general. So Storm 13 plus. On to the third game, we have the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks taking on the North Queensland Cowboys. Another one where it's hard to predict. Like, I'm leaning towards the Sharks because it's a home game for the Sharks, but on paper, both these sides look very good. You got the Sharks, who I feel like have a bit more finals experience, but the Cowboys have the Origin experience. So does Origin experience trump finals experience? Not necessarily, but it is a big occasion, and it happened this year. We've seen Tommy Dearden step up. We've seen Jeremiah Nanai's, even Tuolangi's played Origin. Like Carl Felt's been there before. Valentine Holmes. They got a lot of experienced guys. Chad Townsend won the premiership with Holmes. Look, it's going to be a great clash, and I think I'm going to take the Sharks just because it's a home game. But there's no real indication of the Sharks are playing so much better or the Cowboys are playing so much better. Even in recent weeks, I mean, let's not take into account last week, but in recent weeks, both of these sides haven't really been doing a hell of a lot. They've been winning, but they haven't been super impressive. But then last week, they both came out and had pretty decent wins. Cowboys in particular had a nice little win over the Panthers. It was reserve grade Panthers, but still a good side. Cowboys can get the job done. However, I'm going to be tipping the Sharks just because of finals experience and basically more so just that it's a home game for them. That's really all it comes down to. I don't really have too much to say. Like the Sharks, I'm looking at the odds here, $1.71, Cowboys $2.15. Looking at them, yeah, it's like the closest one. Everyone else has kind of got like a clear favourite. This one is like the Sharks are the favourite, but it's a lot closer, and I think that's a perfect indication of this game. I can't really sit here and say the Sharks have been so much better than the Cowboys, especially considering it was only a couple of weeks ago. We're talking about the Cowboys potentially challenging Penrith for the minor premiership. Obviously, it didn't happen, but just shows you the season that the Cowboys have had. They are the underdogs, and they continue to be the underdogs, and I expect them to put up a good fight, but Sharks win this one 1-12. Now, moving on to the last game of Finals Week 1, it is the Sydney Roosters up against the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Big rivalry game. A game that actually happened last week. We saw Joey Manu get hurt. We saw Cameron Murray get knocked out. Who else? Damien Cook didn't play. Someone else didn't play. I feel like someone else didn't play. I'm totally blanking on that. But basically, what I'm trying to say is we saw this game last week, but we didn't see this game last week. It was definitely a different game. Both these sides, they definitely played hard. Like I said, we saw a season-ending injury to Joey Manu. We saw Latrell get booed. He sort of come out all fired up. We saw an interesting game. We saw a fairly close game, especially considering all the injuries and even sin binnings and such. But end of the day, we saw the Roosters win. Is that an indication of what's going to happen this week? No chance. No chance. Not no chance in terms of Roosters winning, but I don't think that actually indicates anything. I feel like last week they knew they were playing each other this week. All it was basically was, are we going to be playing at Allianz, or are we going to be playing at a core stadium, Homebush, Sydney Olympic Park, whatever you want to call it. That's basically all it came down to, and a bit of pride. Like I said, Roosters got the job done, but this is going to be a weaker Roosters side now that Joey Manu is not in the side. It's been a long time since we've really seen Joey Manu not be there, and whereas the Rabbitohs getting a lot of players back as well. So I feel like in that regards, I'm liking the Rabbitohs, but the Roosters have just been so strong over the last, 5-6 weeks or whatever, probably even a little bit longer. Since Origin, really, they have really stepped up. Tedesco's been playing well. Kieran Walker seemed to be getting it going, which was kind of a lot of the talk, was that they're not gelling, but I feel like they are, and obviously the rest of the side is obviously gelling off the back of that. and they finally aren't super injured or suspended or whatever. I just feel like the Roosters are clicking at the right time of the year. Does that mean they're going to win the premiership? I don't know. I tipped them at the start of the season to win the premiership, but I mean, you can say the same about the Rabbitohs. They've clicked at the right time. However, they just haven't clicked like the Roosters have. And for that reason, I'm going to be tipping the Roosters despite all the ins for the Rabbitohs. And Joey Manu, Joey Manu is so good that he's the one player that I can look at and be like, oh, he's not playing. I don't know if I want to tip the Roosters. But I am going to be tipping the Roosters 1-12. I think it's going to be a close one. Anyways, those are my tips and predictions for round 1 of the 2022 final series. Let me know in the comment section below. Do you agree with me? Do you not agree with me? Let me know, because, like I said, plenty of games, plenty of close games. So I'm intrigued to see where you guys are going with this. Are you going to tip the same as me, or are you going to go something completely different? So let me know in the comment section below. Also, I just want to say thank you for watching this video. Hopefully you did enjoy it. If you did, make sure you go ahead and smash the like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Also, make sure to use the notification bell. Don't rely on those sub boxes. Use the notification bell and never miss any of my videos. Going to be uploading plenty due to the final series, so stay tuned for that. Also, you got to go ahead and chuck me a follow on social media. It's on the screen right now. It's Mr. Luke and YT for the most part. My Facebook's Mr. Luke, but everything else, including Snapchat, including TikTok, is Mr. Luke and YT. Give me a follow, give me an ad. You know you want to do it. And guys, that's where I'm going to wrap things up here. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more, like I said. Final series is here. Plenty of videos to be made. Predictions, Rebel Eagle R4, you name it. We're going to be doing it. So stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next one. See yous.